Like that detail was merely to defend themselves, and their press conference yesterday was very defensive.
I think that's right, and I think it's important to separate, as I think somebody said earlier on, the investigation that the police officers are taking, so the police on the grounds that are clearly doing a good job and as best a job as they can to find Nicola, versus the communications team and the people that are in the back office that are actually instructing what takes place. I think it has been a bit of a shambles. And I think, look, whenever there is a missing person story, it grips the nation. And there are other stories like Madeleine McCann, who obviously we know as a young girl went missing in Portugal, Claudia Lawrence, the chef that was in the University of York. It is all about the unknown, because, you know, nobody knows what's happened to Nicola. Whatever the circumstances are, it's a terrible, terrible case, and we just hope that she can be found and that we can get some answers as quickly as possible. But that will only happen if, I think, we can allow the police that are on the ground to continue to do their job and do it well. I
don't think they are doing it particularly well, though, Greg.
Well, I mean, it's difficult because in missing persons cases, you have to be communicating with the public, which makes the messaging and the communications team all the more urgent. You can't just, you know, keep it private because you need, you know, if there are people out there that can help the police, you need to be messaging to them. So I think Peter and Emma brought up some great points, that it's the communications that have been a disaster. I think it's difficult to criticize the police function right now and the search. We don't really know, but we can all agree that the messaging has been
I tell you why I think I'm so critical of them. All of that, they assumed from the get-go that she was in the river. Right. They assumed, it was the assumption was that she's drowned. That's it. Yeah. And all of that focus seemed to be there. As Peter was saying and Emma was saying there, they didn't cordon off the particular area. They didn't cordon off the bench. I imagine it's a missing... You know, 200,000 people in this country go missing every year. 90% of them will turn up safe and well. Thank goodness. But it looks like I've been wondering, why have they assumed she's in the river? What's the assumption? Now this detail has come out that apparently she liked to drink. I mean, we don't know to what extent. I feel dreadfully sorry for her under these circumstances. The idea that people are talking about you in your absence in this way, Charlie, it feels incredibly like they've taken away her dignity.
I think so. I think that's right. And I do feel for her family at this time, who are clearly going through... I mean, she's on every front page of every newspaper in the country. And I think, look, you know, there has been a serious breakdown in communication, particularly with the diving team, who said, look, had they known this particular bit of information, they might have taken their search elsewhere, which, and, you know, in a missing persons case, time is everything. So it is incredibly, incredibly sad, and I think questions will be asked of Lancashire police, how they have conducted this inquiry. But the main focus is to make sure that we find Nicola and that her family's minds can be put at ease.
Yeah, absolutely. Sasha said on email, I can't believe the incompetence of Lancashire police to now say that Nicola had alcohol and menopausal issues is disgusting. Have they given no thought to how her family will feel hearing this? If Nicola is somewhere hearing this, will it not adversely affect her mental health even more? I feel this statement is somehow to cover their backs in a woefully incompetent investigation from the outset. Thank you. Keep your views coming this morning, gbviews at gbnews.uk. Right, Greg, Elon Musk. Elon Musk was talking at the World Government Summit on Wednesday, and it was in Dubai, and it was a room full of very important and very powerful men predominantly. I don't think there was a woman in the room. And he did a speech on Zoom onto the screen, and it was at the World Government Summit. And he said, I know this is called the World Government Summit, but I think we should be a little bit concerned about actually becoming too much of a single world government. Does he have a point?
Of course he has a point, and just the name World Government Summit should be a bit troubling. But, you know, this is Davos gone wild, or maybe just another Davos. And I think, you know, it's quite natural for people to be suspicious of these elites getting together and talking about the reset and all the other kind of rubbish that comes out of Davos. So, yeah, I think Elon has a point. And he's, you know, he's definitely smart. We can't argue with that. And so when he speaks, he speaks, like going back to President Trump, he's very candid and he says the things that many of us are thinking. And he's brave enough to say it.
And he was on this screen that was about 25 metres high, Charlie, and all of these men expected him to say a world government is a brilliant idea, and I love the fact that he undermined it.
Well, again, like Greg's absolutely right, like President Trump, no end of sort of surprises when it comes to Elon Musk. But I do think that there is a serious point, because I think actually greater cooperation amongst sort of regions and nations is no bad thing. So I think, yes, whilst there's a lot of scepticism around when these big events come together, political events, whether it's Davos, whether it's things like the World Economic Forum, whether it's like the EU. Of course, there's scepticism about being part of these big organisations and institutions. But I think the only way you make progress, I think, is when you can come together and fix things that are happening right across the world, whether it's in the Middle East or whether it's things against China. These are issues where we as a West, and particularly as a Europe and with our American friends, we do need to stand closer together and become more united.